LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. Unasikiliza wito wa uhuru katika LRN.FM.
All right, welcome here to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. Broadcasting live from the Vertcoin studio right here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And you know what? It's a sunny day outside. It's been really nice. I've been particularly impressed with the weather lately here. Got, lots and lots of snow. This is what I guess what they call snow blindness, because the sun is like super bright, but it's like a foot of snow on the ground outside still, and the glare from that will just about blind you. So that's what we got going on up here. I've been watching this 60 Minutes interview, and it's just absolutely laughable that most of this stuff was literally left unchecked, unquestioned, and it's out and out lies and propaganda. Like, anybody with the slightest bit of understanding of geopolitics of the region hears the words that are coming out of Mohammed bin Salman's mouth and goes, do you really expect the American public to be dumb enough to believe what you're saying? And evidently the answer to that is yes, because Norah O'Donnell sat there and let it go unquestioned. So evidently Norah O'Donnell also thinks the American public is so stupid that they don't know that this guy is full of it like a Christmas turkey and his nickname should be Doo-Doo.
So, Will, you know more about this particular area, this topic. Do you have any insight into why 60 Minutes would choose? I mean, 60 Minutes is generally known to be, pretty assertive and like aggressive with their journalism. Do you have any idea as to why they would just be so lax and like to do this in the first place?
Because all the major media, really, in all honesty, are in the pockets of the war folks. You know, the people, the profiteers. There's a reason why when you watch CNN, Fox News, MSDNC, Headline News, you know, all these different, you know, CNBC, all this stuff, somewhere in the midst of it, you'll see a commercial for GE, you'll see a commercial for Lockheed, and you'll see a commercial for Boeing. One of those three companies will be in there somewhere. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really know anybody that's in the market for a Hellfire missile or a 767.
Or 747.
You know, so why you're advertising...
In Ancapistan, I would love both of those.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
But you or I, we're not in Ancapistan. We're in America, where you and I don't have access to buy those things. So why are they being advertised on? Oh, that's right. Because media is beholden not to the truth anymore, and this is by law now. The media is no longer beholden to the truth. Media is beholden to the sponsors. And, you know, if your sponsors make money off of war, then it's not really in your best interest to do exposés that show why we shouldn't be going to war, or at least not do them in a grand and convincing enough fashion that we end up with like a melee reaction.
Sure.
You know, that's...
You know, everybody, all my fellow Star Trek fans are always telling me that the Ferengi are analogs for American civilization, and I'm like, no, because one of the Ferengi rules of acquisition is peace is good for business. And Americans have not figured that out yet. We only know the other one. The war is good.
I was about to say, yeah, but the very next rule of acquisition is war is good for business.
Exactly. We've only figured out one of those two. That's why we're not quite Ferengi level with our commerce.
Right. Now, back to the interview itself. Says, and this may be one of the most cringe-inducing exchanges of the entire interview. Mohammed bin Salman says, Iran is not a rival to Saudi Arabia. Its army is not among the top 5 armies in the Muslim world. The Saudi economy is larger than the Iranian economy. Iran is far from being equal to Saudi Arabia. I
too like to compare penis sizes with random countries.
Well, no, what I think is funny, though, is, well, if they're so insignificant and minuscule, why is the Saudi Arabian government spending literally billions of dollars lobbying the United States government to invade Iran? If Saudi is so superior to them, why can't Saudi just do it?
Why are we beating the war drum constantly with North Korea? It's because
Right.
we've already beat up on everybody we actually want to / can beat up on. Now we're down to the people that are easy targets.
Now,
and we point out that they're easy targets to convince people that it's going to be easier to beat them. That's actually part of the strategy. So the reason that he does it and talks about how inferior they are is not because it's true, but so that it seems to Americans like, oh, it should be real easy to take those guys out. Because we like to start
taking
wars,
Al-Qaeda out of Afghanistan, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Exact same strategy.
Well, if bin Salman and his family would quit sending so much damn money to him, they wouldn't have as much strength to begin with.
Preach.
Yeah, don't tell me. Now, Norah O'Donnell responds to that. Iran is not equal to Saudi Arabia rant with, well, yes, but I've seen you call Ayatollah Khomeini the new Hitler of the Middle East. To which bin Salman responded, absolutely. And Norah O'Donnell then questions, well, but why? You know, like and they're nobodies. To which the Crown Prince responds, because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project in the Middle East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened. I don't want to see the same events happen in the Middle East. This is coming from someone who's literally in the midst of a violent governmental overthrow of their neighbor while having already, like the Saudi government basically rules Bahrain. Most people don't really realize that, but the Al Khalifa family is connected to the Saudi royal family. Bahrain is like Iran. It's a Shia majority country, but it has Saudi-funded Sunni monarchy, dictatorship, basically. So when the Shia there tried to fight back and gain, control of their own country again, the reaction of Saudi Arabia was worse than what Assad did in Syria. But we just ignored it because it's Saudi. They control the petrodollar. We kiss their asses because if they don't, they pull their support for the petrodollar, and the American economy is done. Done. The dollar that's in your pocket, set it on fire. It's worth more that way than you'll be able to use it to buy firewood. I mean, seriously. If any president ever decided, you saw what happened in the 70s when they tried to take on the Saudi Arabian government. You saw what happened. We were all pushing our cars, sitting in gas lines for hours and hours. That's why they don't mess with the Saudis.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
An update now on a legal battle emerging around the Onion News Network's own Jode Kressbeckler. After the shocking story yesterday that a group of assailants attacked Congressman William Cummings, tied him to a horse, and dragged him through a briar patch, some are now saying these statements from Mr. Kressbeckler last week may have incited the attack.
Bootlegging Congressman Cummings ought to be tied to a horse and drugged through a briar patch.
Mr. Kressbeckler's show is billed as an opinion and entertainment program.
Yes,
and
it
he
is.
even calls himself nothing but a caterwauling old badger, so
Right.
the claim that he would incite people to violence seems pretty far-fetched.
He displayed a map of Congressman Cummings' home in relation to the nearest briar patch, told his viewers where to purchase a, quote, good pulling horse, and used a life-size dummy of Congressman Cummings to demonstrate effective knot-tying techniques.
Right. I think most reasonable people would see that as simply a ribald political satire.
Right.
Briar patch is obviously a metaphor for the prickly political atmosphere in Washington, and drag from a horse means something else.
Makes sense to me.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom live on LRN.FM. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
Welcome back here to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We're broadcasting live from the Vertcoin studio right here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And I'm wondering, are you new to the crypto industry? Have you not learned what a candle graph is yet? Well, I got something for you. It's the it's Helium, helium.com. It's a savings accelerator. It's brought to you by uphold.com. And when the way that it works is you just it watches these candle graphs for you, basically. It watches the values between different currencies, and it moves your money when the timing is just right. So Helium, basically, it lets your money move you. You load it up with a bank card or a digital wallet, and then you just set it and forget it. The whole thing is completely automatic. So go on over to heliumwithane.com and /CTF. Get your great deal for being a Call to Freedom listener. Again, that's Helium with an E, HELEUM.com /CTF. To get your great deal for being a Call to Freedom listener. So now we're going to go from one absurdity, the absurdity of, just allowing a war criminal, basically, a person who's responsible for, because he is a dictator. You know, we have to acknowledge this is a dictatorship. One man rules all in Saudi Arabia. One man. There is no Congress, Parliament. No. There is the king. It's good to be the king. And the king is totally over the top of the greatest humanitarian crisis of our time, of at least of today. And we're just not going to challenge him. CBS 60 Minutes is just not going to challenge him at all. But, I mean, honestly, what do you expect of a society that would appoint a known torturer to head the CIA?
I mean, you're talking about Obama, aren't you? Surely that was Obama done did that.
No. There's, as far as I know, there have only been 2 times that a person who was found guilty of torture was able to receive higher office later in their career. Both of those times were in the last 10 years, and both of those times it was the Republican Party that was responsible for it. Again, this is coming from the American conservative. And I had another article that I was going to read, but the title of this one just grabbed me by the gonads and was like, yes, Gina Haspel, as if Nuremberg never happened. Says nothing will say more about who we are across 3 American administrations, one that demanded torture, one that covered it up, and now one that seeks to promote its bloody participants, than whether Gina Haspel becomes the director of the CIA. Haspel oversaw the torture of human beings in Thailand as the chief of a CIA black site in 2002. Since then, she's worked her way up to deputy director of the CIA, with current director Mike Pompeo slated to move to Foggy Bottom. President Donald Trump has proposed Haspel as the agency's new head.
That's a really important comma right there, because Foggy Bottom is an area of Washington, D.C., and not an act that Trump may or may not have done with Stormy Daniels.
No!
Right?
That was a great pun, Tom. But this is the thing where, you know, I mean, it's like, sure, this is news. It's like a thing that's happening right now. But she's already deputy director. Like, doesn't that already speak volumes? And yes, it would speak more volumes if she became director, but she's already deputy director at the CIA.
Yes. Yes, well, already deputy director.
You see, guys, though, Trump is just playing 10-dimensional chess.
What?
Because the deputy director is not a discretionary position, and the director is. So he's just appointing her director so he can get rid of her. And
yes, do I know the person who said this to you?
You do not, because this is a stranger. But it shouldn't surprise you someone said this to me. Anyway, go ahead, Will, because I have something else someone said to me that I'll repeat it from Friday, and you're going to fall out of your chair when I do. But I'm going to let you finish the article. Yes.
That bad, huh?
It's that bad because it's serious, and it's from a Democrat whose father was a rather high-ranking diplomat for many, many years under Bill Clinton.
Okay. Says
Silver Spoon Democrat.
Right. Haspel's victims waiting for death in Guantanamo, well, they can't speak to us, though they no doubt remember their own screams as they were waterboarded. We can still hear former CIA officer John Kirikow say, quote, "We did call her Bloody Gina. Gina was very quick and very willing to use force. Gina and people like Gina did it, I think because they enjoyed doing it. They tortured just for the sake of torture, not for the sake of gathering information."
And that is literally the most terrifying speech that you could ever possibly hear someone say.
And yet you can, hear his erection as he says it.
You're so right. That's so gross.
It was Kirikow who exposed the obsessive debate over the effectiveness of torture as false. The real purpose of torture conducted by those like Gina Haspel was to seek vengeance, humiliation, and power. "We're just slapping you now," she would have said in that Thai prison, "but we control you. Who knows what will happen next, what we're capable of." The torture victim is left to imagine what form the hurt will take and just how severe it will be, creating their very own terror. Haspel won't be asked at her confirmation hearing to explain how torture works, but those who were waterboarded understand her stewardship certainly could. Underneath of her stewardship certainly could. I met my first torture victim in Korea, where I was adjudicating visas for the State Department. Persons with serious criminal records are ineligible to travel to the United States, with an exception of dissidents who have committed political crimes. The man I spoke with said that under U.S.-supported military dictatorship of Park Chung-hee, he was tortured for writing anti-government verses. He was taken to a small underground cell. 2 men arrived and beat him repeatedly in his testicles. And they also sodomized him with one of the tools that they used for the beating. They asked no questions. They barely spoke to him at all, though the pain was beyond his ability to describe. He said the subsequent humiliation of being left so utterly helpless was what really affected his life. It destroyed his marriage, sent him to the repeated comfort of alcohol, and kept him from ever putting pen to paper again. The men who destroyed him, he told me, did their work, and then they departed, as if they had others to visit and needed to get on with things. He was released a few days later, driven back to his apartment by police, a forward-looking gesture. That's just, oh my God, man. It's disturbing. And what's even more disturbing, our government is doing these things. They're doing these things, and then we're appointing the doers.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of FreedomsPhoenix.com get every day. FreedomsPhoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Angel Clark, and you're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire, 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 fire.
All right, welcome back here to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. So we've been talking about the story here about how the torture the torture chief herself, Gina Haspel from she was involved in the Abu Ghraib scandal, was she not? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, she was photoed. One of the photos of her was her with a bandana on and a pair of sand-colored fatigues, standing over the dead body of an Iraqi with a thumbs up.
Wait, I thought that girl got kicked out of the military.
It's supposed to be her. That one. There's a different one that you're thinking about, the skinnier one. The Gina Haspel is supposed to be the little bit heavier set one. But the photo was up. There was, I want to say, I'll find the article in a little while.
The overall point is we're trying to figure out which American it was in which photograph committing torture, and that's kind of why it was a scandal. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to read some of this. It's from the reports on basically what this woman was involved in. Says the most aggressive interrogation phase began at approximately 11:50 a.m. on August 4th, 2002. Security personnel entered the cell, shackled and hooded Abu Zubaydah, removed his towel. Abu Zubaydah was then naked. Without asking any questions, the interrogators placed a rolled towel around his neck as a collar and backed him up into the cell wall. And an interrogator later acknowledged the collar was used to slam Abu Zubaydah against the concrete wall. Interrogators then removed the hood, performed an attention grab, and had Abu Zubaydah watch while a large confinement box was brought into the cell and laid on the floor. A cable states that Abu Zubaydah was unhooded and a large confinement box was carried into the interrogation room and placed on the floor so as to appear as a coffin. The interrogators then demanded detailed and verifiable information on terrorist operations planned against the United States. They wanted names, phone numbers, email addresses, weapons caches, safe houses, anything involved. CIA records described Zubaydah as appearing apprehensive. Each time Zubaydah denied having additional information, the interrogators would perform a facial slap or a face grab. At approximately 6:20 p.m., Abu Zubaydah was waterboarded for the first time, and over a 2.5-hour period, Abu Zubaydah coughed and vomited and had involuntary spasms of the torso and extremities during waterboarding. Detention site personnel noted that throughout the process, Zubaydah was asked and given the opportunity to respond to questions about threats to the United States, but Zubaydah continued to maintain that he did not have any additional information to provide. In an email to OMS leadership entitled "So It Begins," a medical officer wrote, "The citizens accelerated rapidly, progressing quickly to the waterboard, and after large box walling and small box periods, Zubaydah seemed very resistant to the waterboard. Longest time with the cloth over his face so far has been 17 seconds. This is sure to increase shortly. No useful information so far. He did vomit a couple of times during the waterboard with some beans and rice. It's been 10 hours since he ate, so this is surprising and disturbing. We plan to only feed Ensure for a while now. I'm heading back for another waterboard session."
But the fact that he threw up was surprising and disturbing. Not the rest of it. Just
the fact that he
threw up.
No, the fact that 10
Not
hours,
the torture.
10 hours after he ate, he threw up so hard that he brought up whole food.
Yeah, but still, that was mentioned as the thing that's horrible and surprising as opposed to the torture.
Says walling, attention grasp, slapping, face holds, stress positions, cramped confinement, white noise, and sleep deprivation continued in varying combination 24 hours a day for 17 straight days. Through August 20th, 2002, when Abu Zubaydah was left alone during this period, he was placed in a stress position, left on the waterboard with a cloth over his face, or locked in one of the 2 confinement boxes. According to the cables, Abu Zubaydah was also subjected to the waterboard 2 to 4 times a day with multiple iterations of the watering cycle during each application. So he was tied down and then 2 to 4 times a day and waterboarded over and over and over again during those 2 to 4 times a day. This wasn't the aggressive phase, by the way. The aggressive phase continues on until
that's absolutely horrifying.
August 23rd, 2002. Over the course of the entire 20-day aggressive phase of interrogation, Abu Zubaydah spent a total of 266 hours in the large coffin box, confinement box, and 29 hours in a small box, which had a width of 21 inches, a depth of 2.5 feet, and a height of 2.5 feet. CIA interrogators told Abu Zubaydah that the only way he would leave the facility was in the coffin-shaped confinement box.
The only way you are leaving this facility is in this coffin-shaped confinement box.
Yeah.
To put that into context.
Yes, exactly. According to the daily cables from detention site Green, Abu Zubaydah frequently cried, begged, pleaded, and whimpered, but continued to deny that he had any information on current threats or operatives in the United States. By August 9th of 2002, the 6th day of the interrogation period, the interrogation team informed CIA headquarters that they had come to the, quote, collective preliminary assessment that it was unlikely that Abu Zubaydah had actionable new information about current threats to the U.S. On August 10th, 2002, the interrogation team stated that it was, quote, highly unlikely that Abu Zubaydah possessed any of the information that they were seeking. Detention site Green personnel also informed CIA headquarters that it was their assessment that the application of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques was approaching the legal limit. The chief of the CIA's counterterrorism center, Jose Rodriguez, responded, quote, strongly urge that speculative language as to the legality of given activities, or more precisely judgment calls as to their legality vis-a-vis operational guidelines for this activity agreed upon and vetted at the most senior levels of the agency, be refrained from in written traffic, email, or cable traffic. Such language is not helpful, end quote.
Boy, does that sound familiar to me. Don't write down the legal advice that tells our client we're breaking the law. That's what the Enron lawyers did. And also, apparently, the CIA when they were torturing people.
Yes. Detention site Green Cables described Abu Zubaydah as compliant, informing CIA headquarters that when the interrogator raised his eyebrow without instructions, Abu Zubaydah would slowly walk out of on his own to the water table and sit down. When the interrogator snapped his fingers twice, Abu Zubaydah would lie flat on the waterboard, and despite the assessment of personnel at the detention center that Abu Zubaydah was compliant, CIA headquarters stated that they continue to believe that he was withholding information and instructed interrogators to continue. Now, after 6 days, they realized there was no more information to get, and the headquarters of the CIA said, no, let's keep this going for another 12 days. No, 14 days. 2 more weeks. A total of 20 days. Let's keep it going for 20 days. Even though after 6, we've realized there's no anything. At times, Abu Zubaydah was described as hysterical and distressed.
No kidding. Really?
The level that he was unable to effectively communicate. Waterboarding sessions resulted in immediate fluid intake. Basically, he stopped fighting back. He was trying to allow himself to drown. They had literally tortured the man to the point that he no longer was resistant to the feeling of drowning. He welcomed it. He wanted to die. He had no information. He sought death as a form of relief from what the government of the United States was inflicting upon him. And the people who were doing this, Donald Trump and the Republican Party now want to put in charge of the CIA. But from what it sounds like now, it wouldn't be any different than what was already in charge of the CIA 10, 15 years ago. Disagree? Give us a call, 603-283-6160. We'll be right back in a little while with David Monderis of Tribe.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news, on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, March 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.25 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,312 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $18, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,298. Antiwar.com reports the biggest gain so far in 2 months since Turkey invaded northern Syria. The Turkish military reported capturing the city of Afrin. Kurdish civilians are fleeing the city en masse as Turkish forces tore down the statue depicting a legendary Kurdish figure. This effectively caps off the invasion of the Afrin district, as Turkey had seized other major population centers in the district already. Kurdish YPG officials were not giving up, however, vowing guerrilla resistance to the Turkish occupation. Turkish President Erdogan talked up the victory and claimed most of the Kurdish terrorists had actually fled the invasion. While Turkey will be facing an insurgency around the Afrin district in the future, the big question is what happens next. Erdogan has long insisted that Manbij is next. Invading Manbij would be complicated because the Kurdish-held city has U.S. troops embedded within. There are reports Turkey and the U.S. may make a deal on Manbij to avoid fighting, though no specific pact has been reached yet. Turkey is also facing internal resistance from opposition groups who are calling for them to withdraw the military from Afrin following the victory.
Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co.
UPI reports a federal corrections officer in California was arrested on charges of sexually abusing 2 female inmates, according to prosecutors on Friday. Apoliano Gomez worked as a guard at the Federal Corrections Institution in Victorville, California, when the assaults occurred, according to a news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Central District of California. Prosecutors said the first instance took place in September 2016 when he engaged in sexual activity with one inmate on 2 occasions. The next incident allegedly took place in May 2017 when he caught a female inmate stealing food from a storage facility and threatened to send her to solitary confinement if she refused to engage in sexual activity with him. Solitary confinement facilities were at a different location, which meant that the inmate would be further away from friends and family who were able to visit her at the Victorville facility. Feeling frozen and powerless with fear, the inmate gave in to the demands for oral sex. After the assault, she wiped her tongue on her bra to keep the DNA evidence and reported the incident to authorities in July. Gomez pled not guilty to the charges and was released on $100,000 bail. In the past year, 2 corrections officers at the Victorville facility have been convicted of crimes performed while on duty, according to the San Bernardino Sun. Former corrections officer Ignacio Adrian Sobers Jr. was sentenced to 6 months in prison back in July for receiving a $1,000 bribe to sneak in pornography and an MP3 player to an inmate. In April 2017, former corrections officer Cynthia Flores pled guilty to falsification of records after she kicked an inmate's head and lied about the assault when she said the inmate attacked her.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports White House officials said on Sunday that President Donald Trump will unveil a plan on Monday to combat the opioid addiction crisis that includes seeking the death penalty for drug dealers and urging Congress to toughen sentencing laws for drug traffickers. Officials told a news briefing the White House plan will also seek to cut opioid prescriptions by 1/3 over the next 3 years by promoting practices that reduce overprescription of opioids in federal healthcare programs. The White House did not offer any specific examples of when it would be appropriate to seek the death penalty for drug dealers and referred further questions to the Department of Justice. It is unclear how this new plan will affect federal prosecutions. Trump raised the issue of using the death penalty for drug dealers at a rally in Pennsylvania earlier this month. He has repeatedly said individual drug dealers are responsible for thousands of deaths. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Fossilized evidence reveals the Spazosaurus was the largest doofus ever to roam the Earth, and a new tandem mobility scooter is released. This is the Onion Week in Review, damn it, and we're going to need you to demonstrate a little decorum. Got it? This week, economists confirm that the booming tear gas industry continues to lead the world's economic recovery. Financial experts confirmed that the growing demand for tear gas in countries like Turkey, Brazil, and Greece has increased over 20% annually over the past few years, and is anticipated to continue playing a major role in the world economy.
The market for tear gas just keeps sustaining itself and growing. We can only hope that more people demand tear gas in the coming months, and the recovery will be here sooner than we thought.
In other news, a community is devastated by the sight of an old man struggling up some steps. A stack of unused CDRs turns 5 years old, and this zoo is really promoting the hell out of their new fruit bat. Your diligence and patience have been noted. Prove yourself further at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
The Call to Freedom is an opinion show. It's meant for informational purposes only. It is not licensed financial advice. It is very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with or independently research and verify any information that you hear from the Call of Freedom and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. I mean, come on, guys. Duh. It's a cryptocurrency investment and a political talk radio. Of course, it's opinions.
Hold. Hold. Hold.
You bet
to hold on for dear life, because it's time for the Crypto Hour, brought to you by Helium.com, on the call to freedom.
All right, that's right. It's time for the Crypto Hour here on the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. Our hour of every broadcast devoted to all things in the crypto space. And today we have on a special guest. I've actually been trying to get him on. I met David a few months ago at the New Hampshire Blockchain and Digital Asset Conference that was organized by Bruce Fenton of the Satoshi Roundtable back in December, I believe it was. And we hadn't even moved from our 1 night a week slot to primetime. We were still doing our Sunday night show. And I told him, I said, once we move to primetime, I'm going to want to get you guys on. And it's just been one of those things where we just haven't, our schedules just haven't meshed well. And finally, though, here in mid-March, we are able to get, we're able to get him on. So from Trive, we've got David Mondras. How you doing today, David?
Hey, how are you? Glad to be here.
Well, it's good to have you on with us. And I was interested, because in the age of Trump and, you're fake news, you're fake news, you're fake news, that whole thing. And we see it all over social media, BS being shared by the left and the right. And then I heard I got to hear part of your speech at the blockchain conference, and I wanted you to come on and tell us what is Trive? Like, explain it to us. You've got, let's see here, about 8 minutes. You think you can knock it out in 8 minutes?
All right. So Trive is a crowdsourced way to research anything on the internet. So you're browsing the internet, you see something, you think it's fake, and you ask us to do the research for you. And what we do is we use people. We believe in the power of crowds. So we use people to do that research. We compensate them in Trive coins. So this is a way for people to make tokens for work they do. And we have checks and balances in the system and a reputation system so that people don't bias the score, and so there isn't, there isn't any kind of bias. So think of us as like a news research organization, the people who do the fact checking, except we're transparent, we're immutable, so the information never changes, and we're free. As a matter of fact, we pay you. And the reason for this is because, going through last year's elections and just in general, the amount of fake news that we see on a regular basis is huge. And, no one has solved the scalability problem yet. There's a ton of other competitors out there, Stop Fake, Bellingcat, Politico, and PolitiFact. And, they're all very small. They're all focused on one particular segment that they're interested in. But no one does the whole thing. And both Google and Facebook are looking at somebody like Snopes to do the whole thing, but obviously they're not able to do it, much less be transparent and be non-biased. So we developed an interesting mechanism, and we're in the process of developing, that mechanism even more, that we think resolves this problem. So I think that was 2 minutes. How's that?
Very, very succinct. So Trive Coin. Is this a publicly traded coin that you can get at most exchanges? And what's the value of it?
It's an ERC, right? So it's an ERC20 token, and we think we're a utility token. And obviously, there's this large conversation in the industry today about utility versus security tokens. And so we don't talk about price, and we don't talk to exchanges, and we hope that we'll be listed on an exchange one day. That would be really great. But we're still really, really early in our process of development and our process of working. So what we really want to do is we want to get the product finished. We should be finishing the first version sometime in the next couple of weeks. It's I'll be honest, it's centralized and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it's important to start. And
Can I ask something?
in there you'll be, please.
Okay, so
I assume you're not just going by, what the majority of people say in regard to what is or isn't fake news, because you can kind of get a sense for that from, Facebook. If you go by what the masses of people think, then Donald Trump is literally Hitler, and gay people are being put in the ovens as we speak.
So I think that's a really reasonable. It's an absolutely reasonable point.
So how do you distinguish, that kind of hysterical driven nonsense from?
How do you take Henny Penny and separate Henny Penny from rational adults?
Right. So in the long run, when we're finished with the final product, what we have is 4 series of people who work through the system, actually 5. So first of all, we don't know anything about the people who are on the system other than their wallet address and their reputation score. Then what happens is that a consumer who is browsing the web and who has our plugin installed sees some links. And so I'll just walk through how this works, right? So it sees some links, and some of the links have a score next to them. And the score is either positive or negative. So it's either green or red. And if the score is red, then the consumer has the ability to make the link dark, so it's hard to see, so that this way people don't click on things that aren't true. Now, the scores, that the links that don't have scores, they're able to send in. And when they send them in, they sit in a marketplace. And from that marketplace, a curator is able to then grab those links and create a curation sheet. So this is the sheet that says this is what the story claims. And then they submit that sheet to a pool of researchers. Each researcher only has the ability to research one factoid on that sheet, right? So you can imagine the sheet says Donald Trump was in the White House on January 1st of 2018. Okay, that's one factoid. He signed the following executive order. That's another factoid. The executive order says the following things, and there could be multiple factoids. Each researcher only has the ability to research one of those. Once they're done with their research, they send that research off for verification. The verifier has the ability to then challenge the researcher's claim. So if a verifier thinks the researcher is wrong, or if a verifier thinks that the researcher has done a poor job, then the verifier has the ability to challenge that researcher and claim the researcher's bounty. And they do that by creating the same research that the researcher did, and then submitting that to a pool of witnesses for verification. And the witnesses decide which of the two is correct. It's a double-blind study. The witnesses don't know which is researcher, which is verifier. Researchers, verifiers don't know who the witnesses are. And again, you can only do one thing in the entire process for each story. So you can be one researcher, you can be one curator, you can be one verifier, you can be one witness, and that's it. And everybody gets paid for their work. So it's very difficult for people to collude.
Every person doing it is both a researcher and a verifier? Am I understanding that correctly?
No, so as you go through the stack, you have to be one before you can become the other. So you can't be a witness until you've been a consumer, and you can't be a researcher until you've been a verifier. And what happens is, as you do more work on the system, your reputation score rises, giving you an ability to then get into the higher levels of being able to do things. Now, a curator actually makes a profit off of the process. So they have the ability to make outsized returns. So if we think that a token is worth $1, which we hope to get to someday, and they make $200 worth of 200 tokens for one story, then they have a strong incentive not to lose their reputation score, because if they do, they won't be able to make that money anymore.
All right. Well, when we get back here, when we get back here after the break, we'll get into a whole lot more with David Mondres from Trive when we get back on the Call to Freedom.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. Survivalspeech.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
I spent 8.5 years of my life in prison, and I blame it squarely on the shoulders of Christianity and the stories that I was told. If my parents, if the people at the Christian school, if the people at church would have just explained morality to me as opposed to explaining heaven and hell as a reason for doing what was right and what was wrong, I think I would have understood. It's relatively easy. If you do the moral thing in life, your life is going to be better. You're going to sleep better at night. You're going to probably be much more prosperous.
Right.
They say crime doesn't pay. They say it for a reason.
Happen right here in this world. We don't have to wait for an afterlife to experience the consequences of our actions, whether good or bad,
If I would have just been given the gift of morality instead of the gift of some silly, crazy story, I would never have gone to prison.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Crypto Hour on the Call to Freedom, brought to you by Helium.com. Unasikiliza Crypto Hour inayohusu wito wa uhuru, imeletwa kwako na Helium.com.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. It is the Crypto Hour brought to you by Helium.com. Are you new to the crypto game? Are you wanting to get bought in, but you don't want to spend your whole day, reading candle graphs and looking over white papers and all this kind of stuff? Well, let me introduce you to this thing. It's called Helium.com. It's a savings accelerator. And what it is they've designed a bot that watches the values between regular old fiats and cryptos. And that way, it can move your money when the timing is just right. You just fill up your account via Uphold with your bank card or your digital wallet, and then you just kind of set it and forget it. It's like a crock pot for cryptocurrency. Helium lets your money move you. So go on over to helium.com, helium with an e.com/CTF. That's HELEUM.com/CTF and get a great deal for being a Call to Freedom listener. Now, during today's Crypto Hour, we've been joined by David Mondras of Trive, which is... well, I described it for my other co-hosts when they were like, well, what's Trive? I was like, well, it's like a blockchain fake news censorship kind of thing. And that's very, very simplistic, but it's kind of, that's kind of what it is. It's a way for you to find out what's BS and what's not BS using some kind of a rating system. That is based on the blockchain, is what it sounds like to me. And if you're good, you get paid, which is always cool. But I had a question about, like, the way you see, and it's because, I've run for office. I understand how polls can be manipulated online and how you have how you have that happen, and how is Trive's algorithm set so that doesn't happen, so that a bunch of pro-Trump people can't become verifiers and the other thing that you said, and basically just pump each other's reputation back and forth so that they can inflate BS news as though it were factual because of a higher rating.
No, I think it's a great question. And look, let's be honest, nothing is 100% foolproof, so I'm not going to sit here and say that we have everything figured out. But one of the ways to stop people from colluding is with something called a statistical anomaly detector. And this is something we'll develop later down the road. But basically, it's a piece of software, open source, that will detect if certain wallets are interacting with certain other wallets more than is statistically probable. And if that's the case, it'll just stop the interaction. It simply won't let them do it. If I'm a researcher on a particular story and you're a verifier on that story, and we happen to be on the same, on a separate story every single time, that's something wrong. That shouldn't happen. And that should be random. And you're right. If our database of people who work with us is filled with only people who believe Donald Trump and who are Donald Trump zealots, then we won't put out the truth. And so what we need to do is we need to make sure that our demographic of people who use the system is widely, it's wide. We want to make sure we have everybody in there, not just people who care about Trump, not just people who care about, the Democratic Party or Obama, Hillary, whatever, but people who care really about the truth. And the compensation methodology is made that way so that if people are lying... Let me know if you find
one person that's not a libertarian who cares about the truth, please.
Come on, Ari. Okay. No. It's what we found is that there's a small percentage of people, about 6 to 12%. It's the INTPs and the ENTPs who put the truth above everything else. I was both an INTP and an ENTP in my life, and so I could never conceive of a world where you wouldn't care about the truth. But remember, we don't need everybody. We just need a statistically high enough number. So this isn't just some kind of quackery. This is based on science. So there's a book called The Wisdom of Crowds, and it talks about an experiment run first in the 1950s, then again in the 1970s, and most recently at Columbia in 2007. I actually was part of this experiment, and I didn't know it at the time. So basically the way this works is there's a jar of jelly beans on the desk, and you ask everyone to count the number of jelly beans. Old trick. Each individual person is off by a pretty significant degree, 10, 15, 30, 50, 100%. But the average of all of those people is only off by either 1 or 2%. That's the wisdom of crowds. And it's not just willy-nilly. There are very specific conditions for how the crowds work so that you avoid the mass hysteria, mass panic, mass crowdthink effect. And it's outlined in the book. This has a little bit of it in the presentation. I don't need to go through the details. But basically, we've tried to incorporate as much of that into our protocol as possible. And the idea is that this isn't something that, first of all, this isn't something that we control. So once this gets to a large enough point, it becomes a DAC. which is a distributed autonomous corporation or organization, DAO. So you can think of Bitcoin as a DAC. It has no CEO, it has no corporate office, it has no tax ID. This won't either. And so Trive splits into two portions, Trive the corporation and Trive the DAC. And when the DAC is on its own, we don't control it. It's the people who run it. But before we do that, and those people are wallet holders, but before we do that, we want to make sure we get it right. So we're going to go through this long transition process going from a centralized web service that provides a service that hires people to do the work, where we are now, to one where it's completely, hands off and I don't control it and nobody can control it. And the reason for that is because I don't want someone putting a gun to my head and telling me what the news should be. And that's happened too many times in the past, at least in my family's history. So, looking at the way that others have done it, if you look at the way, let's say, that Snopes does it, or PolitiFact, or any of the others, one of the things that we find is that there isn't this transparency. So we don't know who researched what. We don't know where they got the data. We don't know why they came to the decision that they came to. They just tell you what the decision is. But with us, you can say this wallet came up with this information. And if we find that that wallet is wrong, then that wallet loses reputation scores. Verifiers challenge them, verifiers win, and so on and so on. But it's incredibly important that we're not one-sided, that we're not just Trumpers, or we're not just Hillary bots, or we're not just any particular denomination, honestly.
Very good, very good. That's a pretty decent answer to that question. Now, when we get back, hopefully we'll still have, you're going to stick around for a little while longer, aren't you? We'll have.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
We'll have David Monderis of Trive with us. Now, sometime before the end of the segment, I do want to give him an opportunity to tell us a little bit about that personal story that he was talking about, that family background. It was another thing I got to hear from him at the conference, which is also a little bit inspiring as well. So stick around. If you want to talk to him, give us a call at 603-283-6160, or you can chime in on our Discord call-in line or at Skype at lrn.fm. We'll be right back here on the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Forget it.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of
telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Crypto Hour, brought to you by Helium.com, on the call to freedom on LRN.fm. أنتم تستمعون إلى The Crypto Hour، يقدم إليكم برعاية Helium.com على برنامج نداء للحرية على LRN.fm.
Live from the Vertcoin studio, this is the call to freedom. It's the Crypto Hour, brought to you by Helium. 47 here on LRN.fm. When you kill the faucet, be colorified to get some free coins. This is the call to freedom.
That's right. Welcome back here to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.fm. We're broadcasting live from the Vertcoin studio right here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. Joined live via remote by my classic crew now, Mr. Tom Gray and Miss Aria Demezio from cryptocurrencycheck.org. And you know what? I've been telling y'all every week that you got to come up here and find out what it's like to live in a crypto community. And you know what? There's an opportunity, well, a few opportunities, but one that's really close to my heart coming up. It's called ForkFest. Now, you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians this summer from June 14th through June 18th at ForkFest. It's ForkFest 2018 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of Keene, New Hampshire. ForkFest is a fork of other camping parties in the woods, and you're invited to come create whatever experience you would like others to have. ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one's in charge, so everyone's in charge. So it's up to you to create what happens. Or, well, just simply relax and go camping and hang out with other liberty lovers. ForkFest.party to learn more. Join the forum or the Telegram chat group. Again, that's ForkFest.party. I'll be there at ForkFest, as will Aria Demezio. We're hoping we can convince Tom Gray to be insane enough to take his vacation time and come at least to one day of ForkFest. I would encourage him probably with his little girls to go to PorkFest. And you also can go to PorkFest when you get done. When you get done with ForkFest, the next 5 days will be PorkFest. And if you want to get 10% off your tickets or your VIP tickets to PorkFest, you can go to the PorkFest website and put in the coupon code CTF10, and you get 10% off of your entire order there too. So it's two parties, back to back, same campground, 10 days of hanging out with liberty lovers and crypto folks in the woods. What could be better? Now, we're joined today by David Mondras. He is from Trive, which is it's an effort to use blockchain technology and it sounds like a decentralized rating system in order to help people filter through the BS that you find out there in the world, in the media world today. Is that a pretty fair assessment, David?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment.
Yeah,
we use crowdsourcing we use crowdsourcing. So we use the wisdom of crowds to figure out what are lies and what are not. And, I have to tell you, when we first went down this road, we considered using artificial intelligence, as many of our competitors are thinking about doing. And what we found is that when you get really down to it, only humans can tell. What is satire? What is irony? What is reality? And what makes and doesn't make sense? And when you have this contentious debate, when you have these conversations between people about what is and isn't the truth, that's when the truth comes out. I have this one-line theory of conspiracy theories. It goes like this. You can prove and disprove any conspiracy theory using one sentence, one line. And so one example is Benghazi, right? So first we have to state what's the problem. So the Clinton administration, or the Obama administration, with Hillary Clinton being the Secretary of State, said that there were no troops on station in order to help the guys who were fighting against the mortar attacks and who were being attacked, right? That's their position. And in one of the last Gaudi hearings, where they were investigating Benghazi, there's one line in there that really makes the difference. And it says, he was painting the target with his laser designator. Now, if you're not a military guy and you haven't served, it doesn't mean anything to you. It's kind of just obscure and you move on. But for a guy who's been in the trenches, and I've served, you know what that means.
Means
he's sticking his head out of the hole.
It's artillery.
Right. He's sticking his head out of the hole. He's looking at the mortar. He's painting it with a laser gun, and he's talking to somebody on station. Somebody is reading that laser pointer, because otherwise you don't stick your head out of the hole. You're getting shot at. And so that by itself proves that it's wrong. And I think that in many cases, if you can state questions and you can state facts and you can try to do so dispassionately, you can build this logic tree that says, look, this is the truth. Whatever our emotions are, whatever we think happened, the Parkland shooting, which happened up the street from me, I'm literally 20 minutes from there. It's horrifying. But if you look at the facts, okay, here are the facts, then we know the story of what happened. And we know that potentially banning guns wouldn't fix this problem. He was on FBI's radar for a long, long time. So if we're going to focus on a policy agenda, let's focus on one based on reality. Banning guns wouldn't have stopped this particular shooting, and so on and so on and so on. So I fully believe that when we all know what the truth is, then we can make rational decisions about where to take society, and we can have conversations about that. But if we don't, then we're just shooting in the dark.
Well, what would you say about the perspective that that there's no such thing as truth, and that everything is ultimately just a matter of perspective, that there are no facts, only interpretations?
Well, I think that sounds an awful lot like socialist propaganda.
Nihilism.
Well, that is the position, right? That is the position of the left. There is no truth. There are only, subjective interpretations. I think that's untrue to a very large degree. Now, we don't always have all the information, and it's important to understand where we just don't know.
Well, it's actually as close to objective truth as anything that a subjective being can experience, in fact. But continue.
Yeah, okay. This isn't a question of experiencing the truth as so much as it is discovering it. And I believe that if you are able to get as many angles on this particular viewpoint as you can, and then you can sort through the claims of those angles, you can come with a factual truth. Now, it may not be pretty. It may not be one that we like. It may not be one that we want. And it may not have any emotional characteristics to it. It may simply be a statement of facts. Like Columbo, just the facts, ma'am. But as Sherlock Holmes said it best, right, Arthur Conan Doyle, when looking at a set of circumstances, whenever you throw out everything that's impossible, whatever left, however improbable, must be the truth.
Except new evidence constantly arises that, makes us aware that things that we previously thought were true were in fact false.
Absolutely. And this is where the blockchain becomes so important. Because of the immutability of the blockchain, we don't have the ability to go backwards and fix what was wrong. The only thing we have the ability to do is then to create a new piece of documentation that shows what was wrong. And this way we have a history where we can go through the history and say, you know what, back then we only had this information and that's why we thought that, but now we have this new information and so now we think something different. And that's okay, right? That's a human experience. There's nothing you can do about that. We can't predict the future. My God, if I could predict the future, I'd be so wealthy. But, that's as good as we get, but at least it's transparent. Now what happens is the New York Times will print something, and I don't mean to single them out. They'll print something, they'll retract it 3 days later, but in the meantime, it's already done its impact. And that's not fair. And that's not right.
I'm not seeing how the blockchain being immutable changes that, though. I mean, once something has been decreed by Trivo as being truth, if you will, right. I mean, even if it becomes, retconned later by additional facts or new information, it's still going to be there. Say, oh yeah, we did used to think that was a fact, but now we're saying, it wasn't.
Okay, well, so you have to understand the experience of how you experience Trive. And the way that you experience Trive from a consumer perspective is as you're browsing the web, there are scores next to the links. So we're unique on the URL, on the link.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
You are listening to the Crypto Hour on the Call to Freedom.
تستمتعون إلى The Crypto Hour على برنامج نداء للحرية.
Welcome back here to this final segment of today's Crypto Hour here on the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. Now, you and I both know that securing your internet communications against the government has become almost impossible. Governments can see everything you do online, and they can block services to stop you from communicating altogether. Securing your internet communication... altogether. I don't know why they did it like that. Enter CryptVisor, the unstoppable instant communication platform. CryptVisor is powered by the blockchain and fully decentralized. There are no central servers for governments to block or shut down. And CryptVisor neither asks for nor stores your personal information. So even if governments ask them for your data, well, they simply don't have it. Find out how you can get CryptVisor for yourself for free, and learn about our premium options like the CVPay cryptocurrency wallet and other advanced security features. So go over and check out CryptVisor at cryptvisor.network. That's cryptvisor.network. So we've been joined today by David Mondras. He works over at Trive, which is it's a blockchain-based effort to, the idea, it seems to me, is to utilize crowdsourcing in order to help people sift through the BS that we find all over the internet today, otherwise known as fake news. Now, joining me in the studio and just pulling up her microphone, we've got Melanie, who normally appears on Free Talk Live. How you doing, Melanie?
Pretty good, y'all.
And as normal on Monday, our classic crew, Mr. Tom Gray from Eastern Tennessee and Aria Demezio from Mississippi and cryptocurrencycheck.org. Now, after telling us about Trive, I got an opportunity while we were in New Hampshire to learn a little bit about David. And David's family's story is particularly inspiring, I felt. Having, lived in the area around Kiev, historically an area fought over between the Slavs and the Teutons. I mean, basically, to be honest, to use the proper language for the time when this conflict actually started. But his family literally survived the Russian invasions in 1917, then the Nazis in the 1930s, then the communist takeovers in the 1940s, all the way to today being, involved in the flourishing infancy of the cryptocurrency world. Tell us a little about that, Dave.
Sure. So, I was born in Kiev. My family's been, agitators for a very long time. When my mom was in her 20s, mid to late 20s, and her friends would get together and then drink vodka and smoke cigarettes. She would lock out the phone. They had those black rotary dial phones. She'd jam it by putting it between two numbers so the operators couldn't listen in. I mean, it was like that. We had to learn how to read between the lines before we learned how to read. Whenever you watch the news, and you love this, the official newspaper of the party organ was called Pravda, which stands for truth, and it was anything but. There's now jokes about Soviet newspapers, which basically just means nothing but papers full of lies. And my uncle, who actually was a journalist, spent about 15 years in the Gulag mining coal. And the only reason he survived was because he was smart and he could work in the office and not always be exposed to the winters. And so he actually managed to survive, whereas most of his cohort didn't. And so you can imagine my disdain and my concern after, we've moved over here, moved over 3 generations. My children are in their teens now, and I'm watching similar things to what happened over there happen over here. And the first place you start is with the control of people's brains. And if you can get them to think a particular way, if the truth isn't important, if all that matters is what we believe, then all of a sudden it becomes a very uncomfortable place to live. It's not hard. Who was it that said that liberty is only one generation away? Right. So it's not hard when you convince people that socialism works, that you don't have to work to get things, that equality of end state is more important than equality of process. It doesn't take long for society to fall apart. I mean, Venezuela is not atypical. People think that, especially socialists believe that, real socialism just hasn't been tried yet. But what they don't understand is that all of the decisions that socialists make every single time, they make not because they're evil people, but because it's the logical thing to do. Where it leads to, however, is death for hundreds of millions. And I think you can hear that I am personally very affected and very passionate and very interested in the subject. It's one of the few subjects that I really argue about online. Because 3 generations is enough. My grandparents, my parents, me, and now my children are here. And now, wait, we're going to import that stuff here? No, not on my watch. Not why I served in the military. It's not why I came over here. I'm not just going to let it stand by and happen. And that actually is where the idea behind Trive comes from. The problem now is that mass media has a bad incentive structure. By the time you figure out what you're reading isn't true, it's too late. They've already monetized you. There is no incentive to provide something that is true because in the past we used to just trust them. And as we know, that trust is gone. Trust in media, in central government, in the police, in the military, in all of our central services is evaporated. It's gone. And so what do we do? Who do we trust now? Well, how about we trust each other? But of course, it's not that simple because when you trust each other, you need checks and balances to make sure that people just don't go off on wild tangents, whether on the left or the right. You need proof. You need to be able to convince others. But, I think the truth has a special place in the human heart. I think the truth is something that people can see and feel and understand and, really grasp viscerally. The truth simply just sounds true. But you have to take into account human psychology. You have to take into account game theory. You have to take into account incentives. And that's what we've tried to do. And I think we've succeeded to a large degree. We just need to implement it, try it, test it, fix it. I'm sure it'll be broken one way or another. But I can't think of anything more important for my kids or for this country. And Ronald Reagan said it best, right? If liberty dies here, it dies everywhere. We are the beacon of hope. And he was absolutely right. When I was 10, I looked at the United States as a shining city on the hill. And for a long time, it really felt that way, at least through the Reagan years. I guess I was 18 when he was out of office. But it's been downhill from then. And while I personally like a lot of the things that Donald does, I'm not 100% on board with everything he does, of course. But it's important that we get back to the truth. And we can have conversations about what to do with it, right? Maybe it's ugly. Maybe it's banal. Maybe it's beautiful. I don't know. It's probably some combination thereof. But if we can't agree on what it is, how can we have a conversation?
All right.
Okay, so there's two things that I heard in there that I want to give you a chance to address, because you've talked earlier in the show about making sure that there's not Trump bias built into the system. But two things that we've heard here that might concern our usual listeners are two, Americentrism, and two, your military service. A lot of people who listen to this show might hear that and go, well, wait a minute. There might be some incompatibility there. So, what are you going to do when you build this system to ensure, one, that there's not a bias or a suppression of anti-American truth, that's truth that makes America look bad, and two, truth that makes the military or even militaries in general look bad?
Well, that's the thing about why it's a DAC. That's the important reason of launching it, so that we don't have control over it. We don't have the ability to make that bias. People will be in there and people will do what people do. And the validity of the service will depend an awful lot on who is doing the research, for sure. And so that's why it's important for us to attract everybody. Now, one of the things about America versus not America is research in the news, unfortunately or fortunately, is both culturally sensitive as well as language sensitive. I would argue that it's very difficult for an American to do news research about China, especially if they're in America, not in China.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on with us today, Dave. Again, this has been Dave Mondres from Tribe. Check him over at Tribe.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, March 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.25 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,312 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $18, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,298. Antiwar.com reports the biggest gain so far in 2 months since Turkey invaded northern Syria. The Turkish military reported capturing the city of Afrin. Kurdish civilians are fleeing the city en masse as Turkish forces tore down the statue depicting a legendary Kurdish figure. This effectively caps off the invasion of the Afrin district, as Turkey had seized other major population centers in the district already. Kurdish YPG officials were not giving up, however, vowing guerrilla resistance to the Turkish occupation. Turkish President Erdogan talked hyped up the victory and claimed most of the Kurdish terrorists had actually fled the invasion. While Turkey will be facing an insurgency around the Afrin district in the future, the big question is what happens next. Erdogan has long insisted that Manbij is next. Invading Manbij would be complicated because the Kurdish-held city has U.S. troops embedded within. There are reports Turkey and the U.S. may make a deal on Manbij to avoid fighting, though no specific pact has been reached yet. Turkey is also facing internal resistance from opposition groups who are calling for them to withdraw the military from Afrin following the victory.
Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need SpendaBit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. SpendaBit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. spendabit.co.
UPI reports a federal corrections officer in California was arrested on charges of sexually abusing 2 female inmates, according to prosecutors on Friday. Apoliano Gomez worked as a guard at the Federal Corrections Institution in Victorville, California, when the assaults occurred, according to a news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Central District of California. Prosecutors said the first instance took place in September 2016 when he engaged in sexual activity with one inmate on 2 occasions. The next incident allegedly took place in May 2017 when he caught a female inmate stealing food from a storage facility and threatened to send her to solitary confinement if she refused to engage in sexual activity with him. Solitary confinement facilities were at a different location, which meant that the inmate would be further away from friends and family who were able to visit her at the Victorville facility. Feeling frozen and powerless with fear, the inmate gave in to the demands for oral sex. After the assault, she wiped her tongue on her bra to keep the DNA evidence and reported the incident to authorities in July. Gomez pled not guilty to the charges and was released on $100,000 bail. In the past year, 2 corrections officers at the Victorville facility have been convicted of crimes performed while on duty, according to the San Bernardino Sun. Former corrections officer Ignacio Adrian Sobers Jr. was sentenced to 6 months in prison back in July for receiving a $1,000 bribe to sneak in pornography and an MP3 player to an inmate. In April 2017, former corrections officer Cynthia Flores pled guilty to falsification of records after she kicked an inmate's head and lied about the assault when she said the inmate attacked her.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports White House officials said on Sunday that President Donald Trump will unveil a plan on Monday to combat the opioid addiction crisis that includes seeking the death penalty for drug dealers and urging Congress to toughen sentencing laws for drug traffickers. Officials told a news briefing the White House plan will also seek to cut opioid prescriptions by 1/3 over the next 3 years by promoting practices that reduce overprescription of opioids in federal healthcare programs. The White House did not offer any specific examples of when it would be appropriate to seek the death penalty for drug dealers and referred further questions to the Department of Justice. It is unclear how this new plan will affect federal prosecutions. Trump raised the issue of using the death penalty for drug dealers at a rally in Pennsylvania earlier this month. He has repeatedly said individual drug dealers are responsible for thousands of deaths. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
The military's newly developed unmanned Pentagon spokes drone completed its first live mission today, successfully carrying out a press conference on the war in Iraq. The Mobile Press Engagement Unit is being hailed by Pentagon officials as a revolutionary advancement in protecting military personnel.
The spokes drone proved effective at neutralizing reporters' questions about 85% of the time.
Many officials say the unit has the potential to save countless careers. Using a high-tech gimbal camera and microphone system, the unit tracks reporters' movements and audio output, then analyzes the data to assess the threat level.
It formulates and deploys an effectively vague response.
We have taken away a number of the enemy sanctuaries and gained initiatives in the areas.
Eileen.
Military technology experts see the unit as adaptable to a wide variety of treacherous interview scenarios. They estimated it could even withstand situations too hostile for any human spokesman to bear, such as anti-war documentary interviews.
This is the Onion News Network.
You're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
تستمتعون إلى برنامج نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
Here we go, off the rails. You know it's time to raise ourselves. It's freedom like you never knew. You're back.
All right, we're back here on the Call to Freedom, here on the call on
something like that.
LRN.FM. I almost said Free Talk Live like twice for some reason. I have no idea why.
Don't worry, we'll take them over eventually too.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Anyway, yeah, this is Will Coley. We're here in the VertCoin studio with Mel from Free Talk Live. She usually is on Monday nights, and she's been stopping in and hanging out with us on our show for the last few weeks. She's basically become a new co-host, which is cool with us. We kind of depend on her now. We're like, oh well, Mel will be here, so at least we'll have an extra one, so you can go home. It's okay, you know. But Tom, man, come on, bro. You brought this story in since Mike didn't show up.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we were going to, this was our backup story. And I'm glad we saved it for the third hour when Melanie got here, because we've got somebody that, you know, with the two of you and how much you love public schools, this should be a really entertaining hour of radio. If you want to get in on it yourself, give us a call at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And you can also get us through our on-air call-in line on Discord or at LRN.FM on Skype. So, Tom, you got the story there. Let's have it.
All right, so Mel, before we light into this, I want to ask you to indulge me by letting me get through what the story actually says. It's bad enough. I don't want people to be misled by the headline, but the actual story is bad enough. The headline, and what grabbed me, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Like the big kids, kindergartens plan protest for gun control. Subheadline, student plans for March 14th walkout spread to elementary schools, which adapt the idea, when is it appropriate to ruin our students' innocence? By Leslie Brody. This was, of course, last week before the March 14th walkouts. If children in kindergarten can practice active shooter drills, they can also walk out to call for safety, some parents and educators say. Plans to protest on March 14th, which began with high school shooting survivors in Parkland, Florida, are spreading to include elementary schools. Schools are grappling with how to address the event with children as young as 5 years old, and finding ways for children who are too little to be told about school shootings to take part. The protest calls for victims nationwide to walk out of class at 10 a.m. for 17 minutes, 1 minute in honor of each victim of February's shooting at Parkland. Some of the most organized events are at schools with progressive traditions and parent bodies. What a shock. At Manhattan Country School, a private school with a social justice mission in New York City, children in pre-kindergarten through 4th grade will sing peace songs, If I Had a Hammer, and Paz y Libertad. I don't know why the idiot who wrote this thinks that If I Had a Hammer is a peace song. It's an anti-war song. There is a massive difference. Anyway, and at PS1 Pluralistic School in Santa Monica, California, elementary students wrote their wishes for a safer world on small pieces of paper to be hung from a large piece of driftwood in a school-wide ceremony. Children said they wished for houses for the homeless, kindness, an end to drought, and more wishes. Although teachers didn't mention anything about firearms, they were on at least one boy's mind. I wish there were no guns so people couldn't suffer, said 8-year-old Gabriel, and I won't read his last name because I have more class than the Wall Street Journal. It doesn't make sense. Why shouldn't they have a longer life instead of just a short life? Skipping on down, deciding what to do is especially tricky at schools that include students with different stages of awareness. At the Ridgewood Avenue School in Glen Ridge, New Jersey, which serves 3rd through 6th grades, Nicole Quinn, president of the Home and School Association that represents parents, said the debate is, quote, coming down to an argument about when it's appropriate to ruin our students' innocence. And that's where I want to stop, because what I wanted to make sure people understood is that while the article can't point to any schools that are actually roping kindergartners into the protests themselves, there are definitely voices with a lot of power within these systems that are saying we should literally, the words they're using, ruin these kids' innocence as early as possible to rope them in. And, well, I'm going to let Melanie yell at this for a minute. I assume you want to, Melanie.
Yeah, I mean, so the headline seems misleading if they're whether they can't point out a school that has protests, then maybe there's not a school that's having kindergarten protests. I mean, but so if they're not, I mean, this doesn't really strike me as anything abnormal to what a school is. They're bringing in crazy, in this case, leftist ideas and having the kids write about it and taking pictures and being like, oh, isn't this 5-year-old sad? Therefore, you should listen to his economics and social safety views because he's 5. So, obviously you should. I mean, I just don't see, if they're not having walkouts, like the title said, I don't see how this is any different than any other day at a public school.
Well, they're still pushing like the Safer World Project, which is a pro-gun, like a globalist pro-gun control effort. So they are pushing like pro-gun control groups and things like that, and they're doing it in the picture here. It's a kindergarten and 1st grade students that she's having this talk with with kids at PS1. PS1 means Public School 1 in Santa Monica, but it's of course. Like, what do you expect in California? I mean, really?
Here's my thing. Where I really got raged out about this was one of my friends who is a public school mom who wishes she was a homeschool mom was telling me that right after the Parkland thing happened, the middle school that her son's elementary school fed into had what's called a soft lockdown. The reason for the soft lockdown was that somebody set off a fire extinguisher and they had to keep the kids in the classrooms while they cleaned it up. That's why they did the soft lockdown. But it's the exact same drill and the exact same procedures as if there's an active shooter in the community but not inside the school. Like if somebody's robbed a bank and is running around and they don't know where they are. The elementary school teachers took it upon themselves to use that opportunity to talk to the kids about shooter situations when it was not even relevant. And this is how it got into her home. Her kid who's around 7, is aware enough sort of to know what they're talking about, but was going around telling her younger kids, somebody's going to come and shoot up the school and I'm going to come and get you when that happens and things like that. Then other people, in the comments sections, just like this parent down here they were basically saying, well, if they're young enough to die, they're young enough to know they're going to die or that they might die and therefore they should be allowed to get mad. It's sick.
That's a wonderful sentiment.
It's sick is what it is. It's child abuse. If you told a kid, if a mother told a kid, well, you need to clean your room because otherwise it's slightly more likely that daddy might come home and shoot you, there would be no question in any of these liberals' minds that is an abuse situation, that is manipulation. That is a much more common possibility for some of these at-risk kids than actually getting shot in a public school, and yet they want to introduce the concept of you are in mortal danger to them to get them involved in their politics. And that's sick. It's sick and it's abusive.
Maybe we can use this as an opportunity to have a conversation about exactly what is a child's innocence. How is it defined? Could it be defined differently by different families and different people? I don't know. Why don't you give us a call, 603-283-6160. We can talk about it when we get back here on The Call to Freedom.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
According to members of the 1998 University of Virginia graduating class, Governor Jim Gilmore's commencement speech to them continues to be a deep well of wisdom and guidance even 15 years after it was delivered. Classmates confirmed that while friends at other universities heard from such figures as Jimmy Carter, Kurt Vonnegut, and the Dalai Lama, the inspirational words of Virginia's 68th governor continues to profoundly inform their lives and actions.
Whenever I face a dark moment in my life, I just think back to Governor Gilmore's speech, and it almost instantly puts things back into perspective. It's like he said, go forward and be successful and achieve your hopes and dreams and aspirations. All I can say is I hope I've lived up to that incredible lesson.
And in local news, a 5-year-old figures he has about a year left of peeing at urinals with his pants all the way down. In other news, using the amount of toothpaste shown in commercials is a disgusting experience. A grizzled proofreader has seen it written both ways, and a cackling Warren Buffett burns his entire fortune in front of the nation.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.fm. आप सुन रहे हैं स्वतंत्रता की पुकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ LRN.fm पे।
Welcome back here to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We're broadcasting live from the VertCoin studio right here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And, I'm joined here in the studio by Melanie from Free Talk Live and live via remote by our classic crew, Mr. Tom Gray and Aria Demezio from cryptocurrencycheck.org. And we've been talking about this story of the ending of our children's innocence by educators. And I don't really see it as ending their innocence so much as using them for props in a propaganda war.
Well, they're doing the former in order to facilitate the latter.
Yeah.
Because, you can roll the kids out there without the kids knowing what's going on, and that's one thing. But making them aware, making them scared is part of the effectiveness of the campaign. And, we talk on this show about how public schools are used to facilitate control and to create a control structure. And, we talk usually in theoretical terms. And there could be a very real tendency by some of our audience to go, well, okay, you may be exaggerating a little bit, or surely it's not that nefarious. Sometimes it's not as nefarious as people think it is. This is nefarious. This is doing things, again, that if a parent did them, if a parent enlisted a child like this by traumatizing the child in order to further their own political gain, the government would probably try to take the kid away from them. And that's regardless of whether it's a Republican or a Democrat or anything in between doing the taking. It would just be a bright line, no, you don't do that to a kid intentionally. And yet when a school does it, they label it as education. And, okay, these bad things have happened in the United States involving public schools, recently. But they happen on a daily basis around the world. Kids are in real mortal danger when they go to school around the world. Do we teach our kids about that? Do we have them protest against that?
Do we teach them? No, we fund it most of the time.
Exactly. Because we're the ones doing the killing. Do we teach them?
We're paying for the bombs and somebody else is doing the killing.
Do you think the stuff, let's even go to older kids. Do you think the stuff that we inflicted, that Gina Haspert inflicted on those men at that CIA dark site, are those even in the high school textbooks? Do we encourage the high school kids to protest about that?
No.
Would we ever do it to the middle school kids?
No.
We certainly have no problem blowing up middle school kids if they happen to be holding a gun.
Well, no, they don't even have to happen to be holding a gun. They just happen to be the child of the wrong person who we never actually showed proof that they did anything to the United States before we murdered them either.
That's true. But if it happens to be an 11, 12, 13-year-old who has been given a gun by an adult in a foreign country, we will use that to demonize the kid.
They could have a plastic toy gun here in the United States.
Here in the U.S.
It doesn't even matter. We just roll up.
But we get mad about that.
Shoot him in the back of the head as soon as we get out of the car. As soon as the guy gets out of the cop car.
He wasn't even all the way out of the cop car.
He wasn't. He was not even all the way out of the cop car, and still already put a couple bullets in what the kid was like 11. I mean, come on.
10. No, he was 12. Tamir Rice, he was 12.
So, I guess we really shouldn't be surprised then. This is a country where we have arguments and debates over which children is it moral to murder? Who is it more moral to kill? What children deserve to live? Our politics is literally built around, does your candidate say Ramadan Mubarak or deport all the muzzies before he drops bombs on Afghan daycare centers? I mean, seriously. Our entire political conversation, the whole duopoly can literally be boiled down to, does your favorite candidate say Ramadan Mubarak or deport all the Muzzies before he pushes the red button to drop the bomb on the Afghan daycare center. Because that's literally the only difference in the policies.
Speaking of which, happy 15th anniversary of the beginning of the Iraq War,
yes.
And happy 10th anniversary of the speech where Barack Obama talked about how terrible the Iraq War was and how it was all Bush's fault and that was going to change when he got elected president.
And then happy belated anniversary to the My Lai massacre. The last time the American public actually gave a damn about the fact that our military is committing horrible atrocities in foreign countries all across the world.
Indeed.
It's almost
all
like
things.
It's almost like what happened with My Lai. Something happened with My Lai where men who didn't do anything wrong were ostracized. And because of that, because innocent men who actually just went over there without being asked, they were conscripted. That's where a man with a gun comes to your home if you don't turn yourself in and makes you into, a chattel slave. You are chum, basically. You are cannon fodder. You are taken from your home in the prime of your life and thrown on the front lines in a war literally for nothing that you don't even understand. And then those men, many of them broke, which is understandable. Some of them became monsters, which is also, happens in war. But men who didn't were maligned with them. And because of that, now we just can't speak about what happens over there in the realms of truth at all. Because if we do, then innocent soldiers will be maligned with the guilty, so we just have to act like it doesn't even happen. I mean, that seems to be what's happened. Is after My Lai, this attitude was adopted that, well, because men who hadn't raped children were called baby rapists when they got back from Vietnam, we can't acknowledge when American servicemen are literally raping children in front of their parents as an interrogation technique.
We can, however, acknowledge people who out that information and ostracize the living devil out of them.
Throw them in prison, threaten them with death. Because we are the country that owns the moral high ground.
Yup.
Yeah, I actually said that with a straight face. I know.
And that song that we were talking about the kids singing, If I Had a Hammer.
Yeah.
Which war were they protesting? Are they going to tell those kids where the song came from?
No.
Nope. They're going to say, it's all about that darned NRA.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.fm. Unasikiliza wito wa uhuru katika LRN.fm.
All right, welcome back here to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We're broadcasting live from the Vertcoin studio right here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire, and nestled right up here, right next to Mount Monadnock. So, you know, our little crypto community, you ought to come up here and visit us. Got a great opportunity for you to do so coming up here soon. You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians this summer from June 14th through June the 18th for Fork Fest 2018 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Now, Fork Fest is a fork of other camping parties in the woods, and you're invited to come create whatever experience you would like others to have. Fork Fest is decentralized, which means no one's in charge, so everyone's in charge. It's up to you to create what happens, or, well, just simply relax and go camping with other liberty lovers. There's no tickets to buy, but there may be speakers, there may be dance parties, there may be vendors, there may be all kinds of things. So go to forkfest.party to find out more information, join the forum or the Telegram chat group. That's forkfest.party. We'll see you for that party in the woods at the end of June. Here, we're all going to be there, I think. Are you going, Melanie?
No. I'm taking off work for way too much other stuff this year.
What about Porkfest? No?
No.
No? Right? You're like, I'm not going to the free one. I'm definitely not going to the one I got to pay for.
Yeah, the FSP is just annoying, so I'm definitely not going to real Porkfest, but...
Well, we also have a coupon code if you want to do the full 10 days. So you want to do like the full anarchist party in the woods for 5 days and then the moderate Libertarian Party in the woods for the following 5 days, you can go to the Pork Fest. You can go to their website and use coupon code CTF10 to get 10% off of your your package. That's for regular tickets or for VIP passes. So you can use.
So what you're saying is that the first 5 days are fornicating in the woods, and the last 5 days are defecating in the woods.
That's right. For Fork Fest, that's right, Arya.
At some point, we're going to merge and have like a reasonable medium, but that's several years.
Fork Fest
down
is
the
4
road.
days of fornicating.
I don't want to know what that
woods.
medium is.
Pork Fest is 4 days of defecating in the woods.
Well, medium doesn't mean you mix the two things. It means you find something that's not insane on either end.
Let's talk. Instead of talking about a median between those two things, let's talk about an average.
An average of fornicating in the woods? An average fornication in the woods is like 15 mosquito bites in places that you don't really want them. Maybe
poison ivy.
Maybe no. That's not average. That's like red level.
Okay.
Is poison ivy, because it's not every time that you wander in the woods that you find poison ivy. It's like 1 out of like 20 times. So an average time would just be mosquito bites places that you don't want them. Pine needles inside of your clothes where they're really uncomfortable. Possibly dirt on your knees. I should stop. I really should.
We're way past the point where we can stop.
Oh, but anyway, yeah, if you want to go to Fork Fest, there's no tickets involved, nothing like that. If you want to go to Pork Fest, you can buy tickets. They're 10% off with the coupon code CTF10. We will be at both. I'll be speaking at Pork Fest, so will Arya. If there are speakers at Fork Fest, I'll probably be speaking there. Either that or just being really lazy and not doing anything. I haven't decided yet. But come buy some T-shirts and come to the Cultural Appropriation Grill and have yourself some culturally appropriated food. You know, have a good time with us. Fornicating in the woods, defecating in the woods, out there in the woods at the Rogers Campground. Anyway, I don't know. We were going to try to segue this like kindergarten thing back into the CIA thing, and I don't really know if we were really successful in doing so.
Did we really want to be successful? I mean, we wanted to get back to the CIA thing, but we didn't.
We tried. We tried to segue.
We could have done better, and we could have done more to segue it, and we would have felt even worse about ourselves. So let's go back to feeling bad and feeling angry at the person that Trump wants to head the CIA.
Okay, no, here's the first thing I want to make sure we before we go any further on this. All of this stuff it's coming out. It was known in 2008 and in 2009. And this woman's like the second in command at the CIA already, which means that all through the Obama administration, a blind eye was cast upon the horrible things that we've been reading to you that this woman was involved with. Obama knew.
Or a very excited eye, an approving eye.
Obama knew about the same things that are in here that we're reading to you. Obama knew this just like we do. Obama knows more because he gets to see the stuff we're not allowed to see. And still, this woman is unprosecuted. So if you're angry and you're upset that Trump is doing this and he's appointing this woman, but you voted for Obama, then I would like to invite you kindly to sit down and shut the hell up because we've been listening to you for 8 years, and, well, that's why she's in the damn position to be able to be appointed to a higher position and given this promotion rather than sitting in a prison cell to start with. So you just sit down and listen to what your golden boy, what your Messiah was willing to stomach, allow, possibly even cheer. Here we've been talking about what happened at Detention Site Green, about the interrogation of one single prisoner. This is just one. Not many. There's many prisoners this has happened to. This is just one some of them with much worse. We left off when we were talking about it before, that this man had been tortured to the point that he was now compliant to the point of a trained animal. That if an interrogator looked at him and threw his eyebrow up, that Zubaydah would stand up and go over and walk and get on the waterboarding table. And that if the man snapped his fingers twice right like that, the man would lay down and assume the position to be tortured. And by the time they got a certain amount into it, he was allowing the water. He was no longer fighting the sensation of drowning. He was trying to allow himself to drown, just for relief from what it eventually became 20 days of nonstop, uninterrupted torture. Not allowed to sleep for 17 of those days in a row. Says here, getting back to it, that according to records, Zubaydah at one point became extremely hysterical. He was hysterically pleading. And at least one session, he became completely unresponsive, with bubbles rising through his open, full mouth. According to CIA records, Zubaydah remained unresponsive until medical intervention, when he regained consciousness and expelled copious amounts of liquid. This experience with the waterboard was referenced in emails, but not documented or otherwise noted in CIA cables. When two CIA headquarters officers later compared the Abu Zubaydah interrogation videotapes to the cable, neither commented on the session. A review of the catalog of videotapes, however, found that recordings of a 21-hour period, which include 2 of those waterboarding sessions, had been completely erased.
By?
We don't know.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Does this ever happen to you? Moments after you're introduced to someone, you forget his or her name. It's a common faux pas you'll want to avoid, especially if you're a job seeker. And even if you're not, here's a tip. As you are being introduced, and while you're still shaking hands, smiling, and making eye contact, say the person's name aloud. Not only does that make a deposit in your memory bank, it acknowledges the other person. And that is more than a nuance, as is maintaining eye contact. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom live on LRN.fm. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.fm.
Seriously, we're back here on the Call to Freedom here on LRN.fm. Stop laughing at me, Tom. Don't judge me.
No, I'm laughing at me because I, not knowing that we were on the air, I had some choice things to say about you while you were calling us idiots like we couldn't hear you.
Which idiots?
You were like, us idiots here, and I was like, idiots like you, Will, not us.
Yeah. Anyway, we wanted to finish up this this discussion here about, again, this woman, not only is she up for being the head of the CIA, she oversaw this torture session, this 20-day, 17 days of which was 24 hours a day nonstop. Torture session of someone that they realized 6 days in, okay, there's nothing we're going to get out of this guy. There's no information here. We're torturing this guy.
I don't know how you don't realize that in like 1 day in. I mean, by the time you break somebody that much.
Well, that's what they said. Like by the 6th day, they had completely broken him so far that they were like, the man would get on his knees and blow every one of us if I farted and told him to. We could all poop in this dish and he would just eat it if he thought it would mean that we wouldn't pour water down his throat again.
Stop giving them ideas. Remember, this woman's about to take over the whole thing.
But he won't tell us something? I don't believe that.
Maybe he doesn't know.
We've broken him as far as you can break him.
Well, torture hasn't been about getting information out of people, ever.
It's about vengeance.
It's never been able to get reliable information from people, ever. In the course of human history, it's never been a reliable way to get information. So to even pretend like it's about information is just flagrantly wrong. It was about torture. It was about power. It was about torturing someone and nothing else.
Well, the reactions, I think, are palatable. Are what's the word? I'm not palatable, but it's necessary to hear them, because these are people that commit torture, and this is how they reacted. On August 5th, 2002, quote, "Want to caution medical officer that this is almost certainly not a place he's ever been in his medical career. It is visually and psychologically very uncomfortable. August 8th, 2002, quote, today's first session had a profound effect on all staff members present. It seemed the collective opinion that we should not go much further. Everyone seems strong for now, but if the group has to continue, we cannot guarantee for how much longer.
Everyone seems strong for now, except the guy you have who's self-waterboarding when you snap your fingers.
Yeah. August 8th, 2002. Several on the team profoundly affected, some to the point of tears. August 11th, 2002. Viewing the pressures on Abu Zubaydah on video, quote, has produced strong feelings of futility and legality of escalating or even maintaining the pressure. Per viewing the tapes, quote, prepare for something not seen previously, end quote.
You know what this makes me think of? An argument I had with a parent the other day who was like, I have to keep my children off all internet because there are some sick videos on the internet. There are some sick videos in your government, dude.
Yeah. Now, it says here, after the use of the enhanced interrogation techniques finally ended, after 20 days, again, 17 of which were 24 hours a day nonstop, personnel at the detention center concluded that Abu Zubaydah had been truthful and he did not possess any terrorist threat information. So for 20 days,
he does now.
We tortured a man that had no information. But now let's move back to 2010 though. Like, this isn't new. In Florida, Republicans elected by the vote a convicted torturer, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, who waterboarded his men, admit that they physically beat and tortured an Iraqi cab driver because West was so abusive of local civilians that he was convinced there had to be some kind of a plot against him. That he was just that nasty and evil to the people who lived there that somebody had to want him dead. So they kidnapped and tortured a taxi driver. And then when he didn't
you could try not being a dick. You could try that.
And what ends up happening is when they can't beat information out of him, they tie him up. They blindfold him. And they put him they tie him to a post, and they hold a mock firing line execution. And when Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, former Florida senator who was working in Washington, D.C., elected to the United States Senate by a majority of Florida voters, he fired his gun next to the head of this man when he gave the order for his men to fire. They went that far with the mock execution that he had his men stand in a line, and instead of his men actually killing him when he gave the order to fire, he discharged his own firearm next to the man's head. The man soiled and urinated on himself and then just said anything, whatever it took for them not to kill him. And guess what it turned out? None of that information was actionable. It was all crap, because you know what? Terrified, desperate people will say whatever it takes to keep you from blowing their brains out or beating them again. You know? So why are we surprised in 2018 that a known torturer is going to be put in charge of the CIA? 8 years ago, the Florida voters sent one to make decisions in Washington. Elected, not appointed, elected. And we're surprised that Trump's going to appoint them.
Hey, Will, I want to make sure we get the counterpoint in. James says this is Islamism's fault.
James who?
The James.
The lunatic James.
The lunatic.
There is only one James on the Call to Freedom.
If Abu Zubaydah were an American soldier tortured by those you call militants, Arya, Will, Mel would just call it blowback, like you all call 9/11, instead of blaming the root of the evil, which is ... Islamism.
Well, first of all,
I mean,
nobody...
the difference in there
nobody
would be
here
that, you know, this is a state, and random militants are not.
Yeah, so
this
nobody
is something
here...
that we elected our government to do.
Nobody here blamed 9/11 on blowback. They justified the Pentagon specifically target, which is a very different thing than blowing up two office buildings. But yeah, so if an Islamic soldier tortures people to death or almost to death, that also is wrong. Nobody on here is justifying that. Like, regardless of what your religion is or what your state affiliation, I guess your secondary religion you could call that is, still torturing people at random is bad. It's kind of a consensus. Yeah.
And this is even like for Muslims, that's on a theological level. It's actually specifically mentioned in the text that torture is wrong. And that if you do things in a state of being tortured or say things, those things can't be held against you. So like the whole concept exists in Islam and is condemned. And information gleaned in that way is you can renounce your faith under torture and it's not considered actually renouncing your faith because you're in a state of duress. So, you know, but that's just more of James who doesn't know anything actually trying to talk like he knows something. You know, it's kind of what you get a lot of on the internet.
So it's just more of James.
Yeah, it's just it's the internet. It's the internet, you know. That's what you get.
I mean, most people on the internet aren't that bad, but
it's what you get when you source your opinions from people who call themselves a mouth-breathing dullard, you know.
Or when you actually refer to yourself as mouth-breathing dullard.
Well, yeah. Well, when you see James, you understand that name is definitely goes with the photo. Anyway. All right. So what do we got coming up this week? Let me see here. I think we're going to have a libertarian socialist in at some point in time to tell us how we are all wrong for loving free markets and rent is theft. Don't ask me why. We're going to be talking about that. Right. Let's see what else we got coming on. I don't know. I don't remember. I've got a whole list of things, but my brain is blank because I got better things to do tonight. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't go anywhere, though. Free Talk Live is coming up next. I'm going to go home and eat me some corned beef.
Catch the Call to Freedom at its new time, weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. The Call to Freedom is the only live drive-home call-in show in the U.S. with a segment devoted to cryptocurrencies. Crypto Hour, brought to you by Helium.com, live from Vertcoin Studios in New Hampshire. Learn about what makes cryptocurrencies so great and why you should care about them. Updates on new coins and ICOs, and warnings of scams. Plus, hear from traders, whales, developers, and big names in the crypto world. You can also win crypto coins or tokens every episode. Just listen for the faucet sound and be the 5th caller to get free Dash, Litecoin, Vertcoin, Verge, or other cryptocurrencies. The Call to Freedom with Will and Aria, featuring Crypto Hour. Broadcast internationally through our BitPlus network satellite. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. on LRN FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, March 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.25 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,312 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $18, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,298. Antiwar.com reports the biggest gain so far in 2 months since Turkey invaded northern Syria. The Turkish military reported capturing the city of Afrin. Kurdish civilians are fleeing the city en masse as Turkish forces tore down the statue depicting a legendary Kurdish figure. This effectively caps off the invasion of the Afrin district as Turkey had seized